Hi folks, I've got a loaner knife here from Macauley, who sent this up just so that I could do a review of it. Very good of him, considering he literally just got it. I had a chance to have a quick look at it himself and stuck it in the post to me. So I want to try and get it back to him quickly, so I thought I'd do the video straight away and we'll put this up. I'll try and put this up today and I'll try and get it back in the post to him today or tomorrow. This being Friday. So it'll either be today or tomorrow, Saturday. Anyway, it's Böker Plus. Now, I quite like Böker Plus for a number of reasons. One of which is the fact that they do come in a nice magnetic closure box, a bit of foam in there. And this one, and it's not the only one from Böker Plus, but this one comes with a little tool for taking it apart and a little silica gel thing at the bottom. Comes with a limited lifetime guarantee, and it tells you how to register the knife, although it recommends registering the knife so that you can prove that you were the original owner, and there is some merit in that, but it doesn't say you have to register it in order to claim under the warranty, but you do need to be able to show that you are the original owner, the original purchaser, so it's probably worth registering it, just to be on the safe side. So anyway, what's inside the box? What's inside the box is this, which is the Böker Plus XS, which is, I have to say, I was not expecting a lot from this, because a couple of things that appear to be wrong with it from the get-go. One, it's another of these relatively bland slab-sided G10 knives. Two, it's made of 440C steel. And three, you lose a lot of blade to this big finger choil. Or do you? The truth is, actually, when you get it in hand, suddenly a lot of the design ideas make sense. You've got a full forefinger grip on there if you use that finger choil. It's three fingers if you don't, but you would use that finger choil. I mean, when you put it in your hand, it just makes sense with the finger choil. So in terms of where that leaves you with the blade, I always think, big finger choil, that means you've lost a big chunk of your blade. And in the UK, every millimetre of blade perhaps counts. But what have they done here? Well, if you measure the blade from the end of the handle, you are over the 3-inch mark. Granted, not much, but you are over the 3-inch mark. But if you measure the sharpened blade length, you're at about 3.5 or perhaps 3 5/8. If you measure it along the curve, you can stretch that out to 2 3/4 inches. But it's always going to be street legal, but at the same time, you've actually got quite a lot of steel out front to do whatever cutting you're trying to do. Comparator, just to sort of see how that works. The obvious comparator to this knife in my collection would be the Manly Wasp. This being my son's Manly Wasp, so this is a seriously well used knife. You can see perhaps from some of the grubbiness in the G10, and I think there's quite a bit of steel gone off that, despite the fact it's quite tough steel. So in terms of blade length, lay them end to end, you'll see that the XS has a longer blade than the Wasp. In terms of cutting edge, it's a slightly shorter edge than the Wasp, but that's probably not a bad thing, because if you measure around that curve, you're getting dangerously close to the 3-inch. The XS is staying well away from the 3-inch maximum legal carry length in the UK. So this ends up, the Wasp feels in hand like a much smaller knife, whereas the Böker feels in hand like a much bigger knife, despite the fact that overall they're pretty much the same size. And it's just down to a slightly smarter design in the Böker. I mean, in terms of length, yes, the wasp is slightly shorter. Certainly in terms of depth, handle size, it's smaller. But in terms of width, the wasp is actually quite a bit thicker. But this just feels just so much bigger in your hand. So it's actually quite a nice bit of design. So, is this the winner over the wasp? Does this put the wasp into the shade? And I tell my son that when his wasp has seen its final days, we'll replace it with the Böker XS. Actually, I think not. Not unless Böker wants to come up with this design with this steel, because this is 440C. 440C is perfectly adequate for a penknife, pocket knife, EDC knife, but for a hard use knife, I think I'd be sharpening this every day. I'm sharpening this every week anyway, and then when he brings it back to me, it really is blunt. I don't know quite what he does with it, but you know, he's cutting sort of cement bags and things like that, which seriously wear on the blade. So, you know, I really should measure it and see how much steel has gone, but I think quite a bit has gone off it. And that's despite the fact that this knife is S90V. Yeah, there we are, you can see that there. S90V. The Böker, as I say, is just 440C. But, you know, as an everyday carry knife, absolutely perfect. In terms of other sort of features about it that do set it apart from the wasp, a couple of things. First of all, it has a shallow carry clip, and actually, I mean, it's somewhere the wasp does well. It's got a very deep carry clip. This has a rather shallow carry clip, which would leave you with that much sticking out of your pocket, which isn't great. It is reversible, as is the wasp. It's fairly uninteresting. It's quite high sitting. It does work well. So if you're carrying a knife and you're not frightened of people seeing it, then, you know, it works and you've got quite a bit to be able to pull it out of your pocket with. Nothing to attach a lanyard to if you want such a thing. The wasp doesn't really either, but it does have a thing in the clip where you could put a lanyard, or you could do one of the ones that I do sometimes where it just hooks under the clip and sticks out the top. I don't have one handy, but I do them occasionally at my SOG Terminus. If you want to see one, look at my SOG Terminus video. I have a little lanyard on that, but there's nowhere to put that. You couldn't even put it round down here. It just really wouldn't work. In terms of opening, if you are at all dexterous, and I'm not, so I have to use two hands to do this, but you can. I think I can probably even do it. You can thumb open it relatively easily. Now I can't do it, because that's just because my hands are just rubbish. That's nothing to do with the design of the knife. Anybody who's remotely capable can open it without a problem, and it does feel quite good in the hand. It's a little thinner than the wasp in, you know, that dimension, but it's broader than the wasp in that dimension. You've obviously, as I say, as we discussed, we've got the longer length because of the choil. That's quite a good grip. You can use it in a pinch grip or anything like that. I've absolutely no idea why you'd want to put it in a reverse grip, but you could if you want to. And of course, probably the most significant factor of that choil is that you just can't close the knife on your hand. You know, even if it goes to try and close, it's just going to catch your hand. Does it have a half stop? Can't remember. No half stop. but that's fine. I don't really like half stops. I always think there's always that danger that with a half stop, the blade starts to close, it reaches that point where it's going to fire onto the half stop. Next thing you know, it's fired into your hand. The wasp, of course, has 3 half stops. You know, quarter stop, a half stop, a 3/4 stop, and open. Very strange. I don't really mind that. You know, it's maybe it's a slower action, but you know, I'm a slow action kind of person, so I don't really have a problem with that. As I say, it's a Böker Plus, which means that it is made in the Far East. One presumes China, though I don't think there's any confirmation of that on any of the packaging, which, you know, I find slightly odd, but you know, there we are. But no, I mean, it's a good knife. It's a good sort of solid working knife. I gave it to my son just to have a look at, and he said he thought he liked it over the Wasp in terms of the handling, but I do think there's still that question over whether the steel would last him a long time. The other thing is, of course, I just got it out of the box. I don't know what Macauley had a chance to do with it before he sent it to me. I don't think he had it for, you know, very long. But I tried it cutting paper and cutting hair, and it's as sharp as Bökers tend to be out of the box. It's one of the things that I quite like about Böker Plus knives. They do, they come sharp. And, you know, for those people in this world who are not great at sharpening a knife, it's always disappointing when you receive something and it's just not sharp, because you can easily make a mess of sharpening up your brand new shiny knife, and there's just no need for that. It's not a reasonable thing for a company to do, to provide a half-sharp knife. Anyway, there we are. Thank you again to Macauley. I will get this back to you ASAP. I'm very pleased to see it. It's actually impressed me more than I expected that it would. So, if you like this sort of stuff, please tick the thumbs up button. It's always somebody ticks the thumbs down button. I'm never quite sure why. I'm not sure what they're trying to say. If you're going to tick the thumbs down button, perhaps you could leave a comment as to why you think that was appropriate. Just out of curiosity, I'm not having a go. And if you'd like to see more of these things, please feel free to subscribe. We're moving on. So thank you very much. See you again soon. Bye.